What is going on, everybody? Do you like creepy stories? Today we are going to get into some creepy stories, disturbing last seen CCTV security footage of missing persons, and today we are going to look at Emma Philpoff. I don't know anything about her, so this is the first time I'm learning anything about this situation. So let's get into it. Let's see how this goes.
On November 28, 2012, Emma Philpoff disappeared under very strange circumstances in Victoria, British Columbia. A year before her mysterious disappearance, Emma had fulfilled her lifelong dream of moving to the Canadian West from Perth, Ontario.
Okay.
Although she arrived in Victoria without a job or place to live, Emma quickly moved in with a friend and found work at a local cafe while she looked for her own place to live. Things seemed to be going well for Emma, but when winter came, she became much more withdrawn and started acting in strange ways. According to her roommate, it wasn't uncommon to see Emma engage in obsessive-compulsive rituals and erratic behaviors, and to fall victim to what seemed to be manic episodes. Just a few months after her arrival in Victoria, Emma abruptly left her friend's apartment, quit her job at the cafe, and began living pretty much anywhere she could find. She stayed at a hotel, camped in the woods, and even slept on boats in Victoria's harbor for a while.
Hey, let me know in the comments. Put the timestamp right here. What do you think got into her before there's any kind of reveal, if there is any reveal? Well, they say that she has some kind of manic episodes or whatever as time went on. So let me know what you guys thought it was or think it is.
Early 2012, Emma was living in a women's shelter in Victoria. That summer, Emma landed a seasonal job at Redfish Bluefish, a popular seafood restaurant in Victoria's Inner Harbor, where she seemed relatively happy for a while. It was also around that time that Emma bought a red Mazda MPV van in hopes of permanently living on the road and traveling to different cities in the US, Mexico,
I got a Mazda 3.
and Canada. When she left her seasonal job in October, she assured her co-workers that she would be back in the spring. Unfortunately, Emma's mental health struggles kept her from reaching the freedom she longed for, and her behavior grew increasingly erratic and unpredictable. In the months before her disappearance, her friends and some of the staff at the women's shelter mentioned that she had been acting paranoid over an unnamed man she had dated back when she was a culinary school student in Perth. She never mentioned whether they had kept in touch.
Perth, Australia.
This seemed to be one of the causes for her paranoid behavior. A few weeks before her disappearance, Emma had an episode where she dragged the furniture in the women's shelter across the street and later claimed that she heard voices coming from the furniture telling her to do it. Around that time, she also gave away and sold many of her personal belongings. On November 20th, Emma was seen on CCTV at the YMCA in Victoria.
Usually when people give away their belongings, something is bad is going to happen, right?
In this strange video, she can be seen walking in and out of the building several times in the span of 14 minutes. Some people have speculated that she might have been trying to hide from someone, while others claim she was probably waiting for a ride and didn't want to spend the entire time outside in the freezing cold while her ride arrived. But neither of these theories were ever confirmed. 3 days after this footage was captured, Emma had a series of emotional conversations over the phone with her mother, during which Emma asked her mother to let her move back in with her in Perth. Her mother agreed, but grew concerned after Emma changed her mind several times between moving back to Perth and staying in Victoria during their conversations. On November 28th, Emma's mother realized she was living in a women's shelter after she dialed back a number that Emma had called from, and a staff member answered the phone. Concerned about her daughter's well-being, she immediately took a plane to Victoria. Early that same day, at around 8:30 a.m., Emma was captured on CCTV walking into a 7-Eleven and buying a prepaid card for $200. Later that afternoon, she went back to the 7-Eleven to buy a prepaid cell phone, which she never activated. The video shows Emma repeatedly looking out the window and hesitating before leaving the store, as if she was trying to avoid someone on the outside. Her paranoid behavior suggests that she might have been followed or threatened, but this was never confirmed. After finally leaving the
or it could have been all in her head.
At the shelter at about 6
mental
p.m.
illness.
To find out that her mother was on her way to pick her up and take her home. Upon hearing the news from a staff member, Emma rushed out the front door and took a cab to the airport. A few minutes later, though, Emma cut the ride short by telling the driver she couldn't afford the $60 ride, even though reports mentioned that she had had over $2,000 on her at the time. Dennis Quay, an acquaintance of Emma, later ran into her at a crossing outside the Empress Hotel at around 8 p.m. She was barefoot, and according to Dennis, she seemed extremely agitated and refused to cross the street. Emma's paranoid behavior led Dennis to ask her if she was being followed, but she assured him that she wasn't. Not knowing what else to do, Dennis called the police to tell them there was a dazed and distressed woman walking barefoot in front of the Empress Hotel. A few minutes later, Victoria police arrived and spoke to Emma for 45 minutes. Somehow, the officers decided that she was not a threat to herself or anyone else, and they let her go. That was the last time anyone ever saw Emma.
And that's the thing about people who are in this kind of state. They can usually talk themselves out of, police interactions, if you will, to avoid getting arrested.
3 hours after she was last seen, her mother arrived at the women's shelter to pick her up, but Emma was nowhere to be found. After her mother reported her missing, the search for Emma Filipoff began. The following morning, investigators found Emma's red Mazda van in the Chateau Victoria Hotel parking lot, where she had paid to get it towed 3 days before her disappearance on November 25th. Inside the van were all of Emma's belongings, including her laptop, passports, a pillow, and clothes, indicating that she might have been planning to move back to Perth or run away. Unfortunately, this is where Emma's
Most
case
likely run away.
except for a few mysterious tips. In 2014, a man in a green shirt walked into a convenience store in Gastown, about 75 miles north of Victoria. According to the store owner, the man ripped off a poster advertising a $25,000 reward for finding Emma, telling the owner that Emma wasn't missing. He claimed that Emma was his girlfriend and that she had been living with him and that she ran away from her family because she hated them. Although the store owner reported this to the police, the man was never identified. 4 years later in 2018,
Shocker.
almost 6 years after Emma's disappearance, another man confirmed that he had seen her on the morning after her disappearance, claiming that up until then he hadn't made the connection that the woman he had seen was Emma. According to the man, Emma was standing on the side of the road, barefoot and soaking wet, looking nervous and paranoid as she asked the man for a ride. She claimed she was going to visit a friend in Colwood, about 10 miles from Victoria. The man told Emma he couldn't take her that far, but he drove her a few miles and dropped her off at a nearby gas station. After that, nobody ever saw Emma again. Strangely, the identity of this friend that Emma mentioned she was going to visit is still a mystery. Although Emma's mother has searched non-stop for her daughter for several years, the cause for Emma's disappearance is still unknown. Some people speculate that she might have fallen victim to the man she mentioned she dated back in Perth, even though the police interrogated him and eventually cleared him. Another possibility is that she was kidnapped by the man in the green shirt in the footage. Due to Emma's mental state in the weeks leading up to her disappearance, other people think that her mental health struggles might have gotten the best of her. 11 years later, and police still don't know whether Emma even left the island in the first place, or if she's still...
I mean, honestly, that's what I was thinking. Like, either that man has something to do with it, or he's just playing around. Maybe he got some mental illness himself, or, she just made herself disappear, if you will.
out there somewhere.
Honestly, ladies and gentlemen, like, the likelihood of her making herself disappear is probably more likely than anything else. Unfortunately, the situation sucks because there's no clues or evidence left behind to even try to find her. Let me know in the comments what you guys think, what you think may have happened to her, what your anything that you heard about this, or if you know anything about this. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. It's an unfortunate situation, but it is an unfortunate situation. But if you like this kind of videos, if you want me to do more of these videos, check out more of these mystery videos, do me a favor, like the video, let me know in the comments what I should check out, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well. I'll see you next time.